Welcome everyone to May 2026 session on Spiritual Questions Answered. Now the topic for today is Overcoming Fear 2, alright? It's part 2 and I'm a bit more specific this time. Fear comes from love. Now to be clear, just last month I did the first part on overcoming fear, alright? And it's already posted onto our CordyKet YouTube channel under the podcast or playlist called Spiritual Question Answered. So whatever we're discussing today is a continuation of what we discussed last month. Now to make it simple, I'll just have a brief summary of the pertinent stuff that we went through last episode and which will be probably relevant for today. Alright, so in the last session or last episode, I think we spent more than an hour, maybe close to an hour and a half, talking about fears and eventually how to overcome fear. And that is, I would say, that is based on something that is very practical and for most of us to work with our fears in the very long-term kind of trajectory, right? And we should be taking a look at that. Now, what I would like to take a look at for today and hopefully to share with you all is a simple understanding of fear, all right? We need to cut everything short and to see how we can use what we understand about fear, all right, to do some practices that can help us, okay, you, anyone else, to overcome fear, all right? So hopefully today we will get to do a short practice session on how to overcome fear should we be affected by it, especially when it's an acute thing. That means it happened and we're really feeling some high fear and anxiety. How do we overcome it? Put it into practice. But the last session one will be something that we're talking about fears and something that is more chronic. All right. So now, what exactly is fear? So fear is a very strong emotion. All right. Fear is a very strong emotion. Right. That happens because of the presence of danger or anticipation of danger. Alright, so you can say it's a strong emotion and it's very linked to danger. It can be danger that is really present or we are anticipating danger. Alright, and we went through different types of fears, including irrational fears and those kind of fears in the previous episode. Now, when we anticipate danger, all right, there is a fight or flight response in our body, all right? So there will be a fight or flight response. So these are the two main points I would want to mention for today's session. Now, so let's take a look at understanding of fear. Essentially, whether you believe it or not, and some people will find it very difficult to believe, all right, fear actually comes from love. So not many people can see this. All right, let's take a look at how fear comes about. All right, so fear comes about, right? It's a very strong emotion. And it comes about because of danger, real danger or anticipated danger. Then we start feeling fear. So if we really understand that fear comes because of danger, it actually comes a lot of times out from love, typically self-love, right? We are fearful because we love ourselves. So this danger, all right, and this fight or flight response is something that is because of self-love, self-preservation. Yes? So, whether we realize it or not, okay, when we fear, this fear actually have its roots in love. Now the problem is, fear is such a strong emotion, right? Fear is such a strong emotion that from this self-love, it becomes fear, and this fear will take on a life of its own, and it can, right? Fear will take on a life of its own, and then it can become something very different, and it can lead on to many other types of outcome, and fear can grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The key thing here that we want to understand, all right, from an energy and spiritual point of view, is actually all our fears come from a place of love. And we have lost our good sense and connection with our love, and just allow this fear to evolve into something that eventually can tear us apart, tear us, our families, our societies apart. Okay? So, with this, I would like to establish this realization for everyone, that fear actually comes from love. And fear is very interesting in the sense, right, there is a lot of fears that come from love, isn't it? And fears that some people will say is disguised as love. So for example, anyone who is a parent or who have loved ones, we know that we fear for our loved ones. We fear for our children, right? And anyone we love, right? And our fears, usually we know, it comes from a place of love, right? It comes from a place of love, but eventually it evolves and it becomes something by itself. And this something is such a strong emotion and such a life of its own that we forget that it is love. And many times, many times people just fail to see this love, or people use love as an excuse for fear. So, for example, right, now there is the other example, okay? So, my point is fear comes from love. Now, there's this other example, fear and love, that parents or, bad people, they say, they kind of like say that, oh, because of fear, some parents or teachers or leaders, right, they will restrict people. All right, so I don't allow you to do this. I don't allow you to do that. All right, because, right, I fear something bad will happen. So it could be like a parent refuse to allow their daughter to go out and date or to go out and meet people, or don't even allow their daughter to go out and meet people. And their whole point is actually fear, all right? But you can say, oh, it's because we love you and we don't want you to get into danger. Yes? But it gets very confused because if they are using the excuse of love, whereas what they're really feeling is fear. Yes? So there are a lot of maybe adults, people of leadership position, authority, parents, they're going to say, what they say is because of love, because we love you, because we care for you, all right? But actually, they are restricting people or they are making decisions basically because out of fear. And their fear is actually true that it comes from love, but they have forgotten it and they are so engrossed in the fear that even though they say it's love, they can no longer feel it's love. Alright, so my point is going to be fear actually comes from love, and later, alright, I hope to share with you all an exercise whereby hopefully you all will be able to rediscover that fear actually comes from love. And what we want to do later, okay, is we want from fear, we want to return back to love. Okay? Now, so this is understanding fear as an energy, as an emotion, and kind of like spiritually. Alright, so it's a very simple understanding. And we're going to shift back to the physical understanding of fear and its physiological effects on us. So fear will cause us to have a fight or flight response, all right? Especially when it's acute. Okay, so you guys know the difference between acute and chronic, right? So chronic fears would be something that's very long term. It keeps happening over and over again. Acute would be something like it's a sudden onset. And some people can have chronic fears, and every now and then during the chronic fears, they have an acute episode, and it's very intense. All right. So now, when it's very intense, the body will be going through the fight or flight response. All right. So this is where our nervous systems get involved, and then the adrenaline pumping and everything. So when our body gets into fight or flight response, we need to try and deal with fears, all right, with a certain understanding of the whatever is happening to our body. All right. So I'm going to tackle. I'm going to share with everyone how can we deal with fear, especially when it's an acute experience. All right. And we're going to tackle it. So here is the physical aspect. So here is as an emotion, energy aspect. And we're kind of using like spiritual talk, spiritual understanding. Yeah? So if you say, fear comes from love, or it's like, oh, you're so spiritual about it, are you sure, But yes, okay, we'll try to experience this. So first of all, we're going to talk about the physical thing. What do we do, okay, when we experience fear? So when anyone has a panic anxiety, panic attack, anxiety attack, feeling that, okay, so our body is going through fight or flight response. Now, there are a few things, I'm going to teach you all two things that you can do. So basically, when our body goes into fight or flight response, we get flooded with adrenaline, and our nervous system acts up the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system gets act up, and we need to calm our nervous systems down. We need to calm our body down. All right. So these are some of the methods that other people use. All right. Some therapists will use this, or it's actually known in some circles. So the first thing I'm going to share with you all is this. So when you're feeling panic and anxiety, one of the first things that you will want to do is so one of the first things that you can do is shaking. Also, some people will shake out of fear, all right? You shake out of fear and people will go to fear and then they shake. It is known, all right, in people who do therapy that if you are having fear, you can shake your fears away. So what you do is, you want to shake your whole body, all right? You can shake your body, you can shake your hands, you can shake your head. And the idea is, we want to get our body out of the fight or flight response mode. And it is physiological, all right? So we need to get our body to use up the adrenaline, all right? Use up the adrenaline, because our body is in this mode and we are supposed to fight or to flee or to run away, all right? So the shaking of the body, all right, will do a few things. So when you shake, physiologically, you are using up the adrenaline and whatever the body has produced to enable us to fight or flee. So use up the resources. So it's physical, yeah? Physical resources. In Qigong, all right? In Qigong, there is a Qigong exercise that we do shaking, all right? We do shaking. So anyone, so some of you have been learning Qigong in Haiti from me, all right? We have this thing shaking, all right? We can just shake our hands, especially shaking our hands. You want, you can shake your legs so you can, loosen up, shake your legs, okay? Stand on tiptoe, and then you just shake your legs, shake your hands. Now in Qigong, shaking is to also activate the Qi system. Activate your Qi, yeah? Qi system, activate your Qi flow. Now the idea is, we want to do this for at least a few minutes. Okay, 3 minutes is a good guideline. Okay, at least 2. You can, but 3 minutes is a good guideline. So the idea is, the body will produce stuff in our body for fight or flight. Now we want to get our body to feel that we are doing something about it. We are actually fighting, or we are actually fleeing. All right, so we do this shaking thing. All right, and you will activate your Qi. And this is also supposed to use up all these resources so that we can calm our nervous system down. Okay, so it will calm our nervous system. So one thing that we can do when you're having an acute panic or fear attack is shaking. All right, and this is not just limited to shaking. So a lot of people, all right, instead of doing shaking, what do? So it is also recommended, right, when people are having all these panic, fear attacks and anxiety attacks, it's always recommended that they do exercise. Okay, so I'm recommending shaking is something that you can do on the spot without going anywhere. But if you want, so the idea is you do exercise and it achieves the same thing. All right, it achieves the same thing. In Qigong, we have a simple shaking thing just to activate the Qi system. And actually, if you exercise, you activate your Qi flow too. And activating Qi, once your Qi starts flowing, okay, when the Qi starts flowing, Qi also helps to calm the nervous system down. All right, so this is our understanding of Qi. All right, but whatever it is, so the is acknowledge that when you're having fear, you do some shaking, you do some exercise, you use up all these resources, it will calm your nervous system down. There's one more trick, all right? Some people will call it a biohack. All right, what do you do when you have this experiencing acute fear? Is have to do with your eyes. So what you want to do with your eyes, you want to do with your eyes, what you want to do is to do lateral movements. That means, all right, you have your eyes. You go from looking left to looking right, look left and right. Okay. So some of you may have had sessions with psychologists or therapists, all right, for trauma or EMDR, right, stuff like that. And one of the things that is used to calm people down, or in the technique for dealing with trauma, is the psychologist will get you to, okay, look over here, look here, look left, look right, look left, look right, look left, look right. And some people don't exactly know, it's not exactly known why it works. It's supposed to help calm. So they say it will calm the nervous system down, calm the vagus nerve down. And there are explanations for it, okay? So some of the explanations for it is like, when your eye do lateral movements, it is simulating a fight or flight response where you are actually running away. So as you're running away, you look left, you look right, you look left, you look right, and you run away from danger. Or when you fight, all right? So when you fight, all right, so you're faced with danger, so you fight and you look left, you look right, correct? So when we look left, look right, okay, this lateral movement, if we're using up these physical resources and signaling to our body that we are dealing with our fears, whether you're fighting or fleeing. So same thing, whether you're doing the eyes or the shaking. So the shaking or the exercise that you do, all right, running, it will help you with that. Now, the way I would recommend that you all do it is, if possible, or I think fighting is better than fleeing. I think, all right. Now, if you want, you may want to try. If your fear is something for you to overcome, you may want to simulate in your mind, like fighting your fears. Fighting your fears, and you're doing your shaking, and you go look left, look right, look left, look right. So you want the eyes to do lateral movements, okay? And you do a few minutes of it, ideally 3 minutes. The whole idea after that is that you will use up all this fear that is in your body as a result of a physical or physiological response to your fears, and then you will calm down. All right, so this is one of the ways, these are the ways that we can do, okay, that we can try, okay, to deal with our fear. And it works based on the understanding of why we have fear and what it does to the body, the fight or flight response system. Lynn is asking, how does qi calm down the nervous system? Now, anyone who has, now, if you do a lot of qigong, and once you activate the qi will flow. The idea is, if you have enough qi flowing, so we achieve what is known as the microcosmic orbit. So once you achieve the microcosmic orbit, I think it is linked to the nervous system too, all right? And then you will feel a lot calmer. So anyone who's done qigong, and so qigong, you have all those slow kinds of qigong, and you have qigong that is very rigorous. Now that means very active, very rigorous, as like in martial arts. So once you do the qigong, all right, and if you can feel the qi flowing, so for me, I can. So for me, I can do this thing. Okay, so if I do a lot of qigong, all right. So what I do is I allow my microcosmic orbit to flow. So let's say if I were to show everyone, okay. So if I were to calm down, so I do qigong in the calm way. All right. So some of you, what you may notice is, as I calm myself, as I allow my chi to flow, so my chi will flow the microcosmic orbit, and my lips will start to tremble. So for me, my microcosmic orbit, because it will circulate and it will go through lips down. So for me, it will manifest as lip trembling. Now, if I were to stay in this state just a little bit longer, I will very fast calm down. All right. So this is what happens when the microcosmic orbit happens. Okay, and the microcosmic orbit happens very easily when we do enough exercise. For people who don't do qigong, and for people who do qigong, all right, the shaking is one of the ways that I share with people, because shaking will simulate the frequency of qi. Okay, so that is what is happening. Eileen's asking, how about if a person has blood phobias and faints at the sight of blood within 5 seconds? Callista is asking, not sure if I heard correctly, you mentioned simulating the fear in the mind. No, I didn't mention simulating the fear. So what I mentioned is simulating that you are fighting or fleeing the fear. All right. So if we have an acute fear attack, so your body go into this fight or flight response. All right. And these are the kind of biohacks that people use for people who treat people with trauma or fears. Okay, so shaking and exercising is pretty standard. All right, they will advise you to do your exercise, and shaking is one of the things that you can do on the spot without running all over the place and needing a gym to do an exercise. Yeah, and from a qi point of view, I know qi works because I'm into qigong. The other thing, which are what the psychologists and the therapists do, will be the eye lateral movement. So the eye lateral movement is kind of like as if we are fighting or fleeing, right? So when you're fighting or fleeing, we're looking left, we're looking right. Yeah. So the whole idea is to use all those physiological stuff in our body that is supposed to help us to fight or flight. Then we will calm down. Okay. And what I was saying about simulating is, if you really know your fears, I think, in my opinion, personally, I prefer to face my fears. All right, so I would face my imaginary fear, and when I'm exercising, let's say I'm shaking, okay, I will simulate like I'm fighting, I'm using up all my physical resources and to overcome my fears, to conquer and face my fears and overcome it and to fight my fears. Okay, my character tends to be of the strong type. I don't believe in fleeing, especially when whatever we fear can keep on chasing after us, right? So I would advise, and I would, if you can do it, okay, try to do the face your fears and fight. So you can do your shaking and your eye lateral movements and simulating that you're facing up to your fear. Okay, so this is something that we settle physically. All right, and the idea is once we settle physically, then we can calm down, because otherwise our body is in a fight or flight response mode. It's difficult to calm down when you have a fear or panic or anxiety attack. Now, if you can do that, then we can move on to the second thing that I would like to share with everyone. Now, the second thing that we're going to do, all right, is all has to do with understanding that fear actually comes from love. And we can do something like a short meditation or a feeling of our heart. Feeling of our heart. Okay? Now, let's say without doing any particular meditation, okay, in general, I would prefer to share with everyone, okay, our light meditation. But what I would like to help everyone to feel and experience is this. Now, if any one of you have a fear that is always recurrent, I invite you to try it together with me now. All right. So just give me a moment. Let me get my wide angle lens. All right, we are back. So now what I want to share with everyone, all right, is an experience of how to transform fear to love. And we want to first of all experience fear as love. Okay. So I invite everyone, if you're dealing with a particular fear in your life, all right, I would like you to see whether you can calm yourself down. So let's say you have a anxiety attack, fear anxiety attack. So we dealt with it physically. All right, you do your shaking, your exercise, your rigorous exercise, and then you do your eye lateral movements. And the idea is to use up the physical resources that's causing the fight or flight response, and then you calm down. So your nervous system is supposed to calm down, or maybe the idea is maybe you get tired, you calm down. Now, what we want to do now is to experience fear and understand it comes from love. Now, if you can, if you have a certain particular fear, all right, what I want you to do is to sit quietly and try to feel where your fear comes from. And normally it comes from your heart area, your chest area. All right. So if you can, you try to sit quietly, and normally we recommend meditative pose, whereby your palms face up. All right, you can place it. Now, when you're facing fears, it's actually better with your palms up and you place that on top of your knees or thighs like this, and this way you feel more relaxed. All right, you feel more relaxed. Now, some of you feel tempted to place your palms down. All right, that seems as if you got your fears under control, but actually it kind of keeps your nervous system in like a semi fight or flight response. It's as if you're getting ready for action. So you want to just have your palms up. You feel okay. You place them on top of your thighs or your knees, and you try to feel your fear. Feel where this fear is coming from. Now, for many people, if you are sensitive and aware enough, our fears seem to come from the left side of our chest close to our heart. And we may feel a little trembling or something like that. Okay? You feel this thing, it seems to come from the left side. All right? It's normally the left side of what we know as the heart chakra. Okay? So for most people, it's like that. Now, I'm not saying for everyone it's like that, but for most people, all right, you should feel that you have a fear and there's a trembling or this anxiety, and it seems to come from your chest, the chest area that is a little bit close to the heart. So if from the center of the body is a little bit to the left in general. So try to see whether you can sense your fear. Not everybody going to sense it this side, okay, but generally it is here. Okay, I'm just guiding you how you feel. Now, then I'm going to ask you, can you understand that your fear comes from a place of love? So whether it's the love for yourself or love for another, we are fearful for the well-being of another person. We are fearful for our own well-being, usually, or even our own comfort, right? Now, the thing is this. So as you focus on your fear, I want you to look to see and find where is that love behind the fear. Where is the love behind the fear? And if you can, I want you to go inwards. All right, I want you to go inwards. So some of you, you'll be feeling the fear, all right, a little bit on the left side, all right, maybe a slight trembling. And if you were to look for the love from which this fear originates, it's as if from that left side, you will move the love from which this fear originates is a little bit more to the center and a little bit more inner. And see if you can find the love. For some of you, depending on what you've gone through, moving from fear to love will have a little bit, you will have hesitation, and some people will feel pain, but don't focus on that. Focus on where is this love from which your fear comes from. And as you go inwards, I want you to go towards the love within you. Move away from the fear. Move away from the fear. The fear is a little bit more external. And the love, the self-love or love for another, is more internal and is more central. And if you can, try to feel it, experience it, and stay with it. Then allow this love to grow, embrace it, and realize that what you want is your self-love, or your love for this other person that you're fearful for. And don't you think this is a much nicer place or emotion to be in? And can you choose this love for yourself, for the other, over your fear? And allow your love to grow. Alright? So from your fear, move on to the love from which the fear develops, and then feel the love and choose love and allow the love to grow. And if you think you need a stronger kind of boost for this experience that you are having, or you think the fear is too strong, what we're going to do is a shorter version of our light meditation. Tell yourself, alright, focus on your physical heart and tell yourself to shine your pure light of goodness. Shine your pure light of goodness from your physical heart. And this pure light of goodness is filled with energies of love, kindness, patience, empathy, and allow this pure light of goodness to shine brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger, shining from your heart, your physical heart, and allow it to strengthen your emotional heart, your heart chakra. And then allow yourself to feel and experience the love from which your fear comes from, and allow the love to radiate, to shine, and to emit, such that it will grow bigger than your fear. Allow your heart, your love to blossom, that self-love or the love for the other person from which the fear originates. And then just sit with it. So we are shining pure light of goodness, and your heart is radiating this love, this self-love. And you can sit in this to consider what are the kinds of things you would like to do to move on from your fears, or to tackle your fears, or whatever scenario that you're facing. Right? And you can sit in this love, all right? A love which is the origination of your fears. You think of your action plan. In the previous episode, we thought about we need action to cure our fears. And often, for people who are experiencing something that is chronic fear, for example, this session may not be enough. You may need to take a series of actions to correct your life. Some of us have gone down a life path that is very scary for us. You know, we may have screwed up big time, and we are living a very stressful, anxiety, a life full of anxiety and fears that we can't handle it. So you can do what I've shared with you all today. Deal with the fight or flight response physically. Calm yourself down. Feel for your fear, but from your fear, go inwards and towards the center to find the love from which your fears come. And if that's not good enough, you add on the light meditation to shine pure light of goodness. Allow the pure light of goodness to fill with love, with kindness, with patience, with compassion. And allow the pure light of goodness to light up your emotional heart, your heart chakra, so that you can feel more of this love from which your fear originates. And then just sit with it. And in this way, you can transform your fears into love, self-love, or love for another, whoever you have been fearing for. Alright? And when you feel you're ready, alright, you can tell yourself to harmonize, to bathe in love, and slowly exit the meditation, open your eyes, calm down by focusing on your body. Bring your awareness to your body, your breath, and just enjoy this new you after you have transformed the fear into love. Okay? So let me know how that was for you. Coral sent a message. For me, Coral is saying, for me, when fear shows up, it feels more like it's trying to protect me, which behind protection is based on care and love for self. Yes, so that is what I'm trying to say. Alright? A lot of people don't realize that fear comes from love, because fear eventually evolves into something that is very strong emotionally, very strong energetically, and it has a life of itself, and you can feed on into more different types of fears, and it just goes crazy. All right, especially people who have a real fear issues, real trauma issues. It can get very irrational, right? Irrational fears was one of the things that we talked about last month. So if we can actually realize fear comes from love, we can actually convert or return to a state of love, convert our fears to love, and retain a return to a state that is more peaceful, okay, that's not so fearful. Now, I'm not saying that this is easy to do. All right, I'm sharing with everyone something that you can try. Okay, so first of all, we deal with it physically, and this um, so-called dealing with it energetically or emotionally is another way. All right, we're using meditation, and you can use our light meditation, shining pure light of goodness, to support you. And for those of you who are interested, right, we're always sharing our methods like Unity Qigong. Right, Unity Qigong is very great for calming people down, releasing negative energies like fears. Then you do your light meditation. The only thing is, tonight I'm sharing with everyone a little something else that we can use on top of even our regular practice of Unity Qigong, light meditation, non-attachment meditation. Okay, and for those of you who are following us, normally we'll recommend the three practices, because at the end of the day, we want to do typically our practice is UQ, light meditation, then non-attachment meditation. And in the non-attachment meditation, we want to let go of our issues, our attachments. And in such a case, if you're dealing with fears, all right, it's good to look into what is the attachment that causes us to be fearful too, and try to let go of our relevant attachments. Okay, yeah. So get back to love, recognize that it's of love, see whether you can find it, strengthen it, and then we can move out of fear. Okay. Um, Before we call it a night, any other questions? How was the earlier practice for some of you? Any one of you are able to feel your fear and feel that it comes from a place of love within your own emotional heart? You can try that. Sit with it. Okay. So Cassandra is saying heart chakra open and close many times. Yes. So like I was saying, this is for people who are in fear, and fear is very related to love. So actually, so if you are so if you are looking out, okay, if you are looking out, so um, this is supposed to be like a meditation or emotional practice of ourselves. So imagine you're looking out and you're feeling your chest. All right, you're feeling your chest, and this is kind of like the heart chakra. So this would be the left side. This would be the right side. So you're looking out, of looking into the board, and you're looking out and you're feeling your chest. So right, so if this like the heart chakra center. All right. So what most people is going to feel is like the fear is somewhere a little bit to the left. Okay. Again, I say this not necessarily for everyone. You can feel it. Most people, if you try to feel your fear, all right, it's going to feel as if the fear is somewhere to the left. And of course, our physical heart will be, somewhere here, and so the heart is pumping. All right. So our fear will feel a little bit closer to there. And what we're trying to do is actually we're trying to go in, and so this fear, if we want to move inwards, all right, inwards towards the center, then we will find the love from which the fear originates. And this process is a very interesting process, like what Cassandra was saying. So you feel like your emotional heart is opening and closing, because for people who having a lot of fears is a difficult thing, all right, and to move away, and you're trying to find love, and for some people you will feel pain. Okay. Call saying, someone asked, how does chi calm down the nervous system? Yes, Lynn asked that, and I believe I've addressed address it. So basically, the qi will calm down the nervous systems once you get the microcosmic orbit flowing. Okay. All right. So yeah, sorry, because just now I knocked my laptop, and then the session kind of screwed, and I had to restart my laptop. So Eileen is asking about her question. No answer yet. So what exactly was your question? Because you're asking me now, still do the shaking and lateral movement. Is there time? Okay, so the idea is this. So what I was saying is this. Now, we are trying to use our understanding of fear, all right, both physically and emotionally, to deal with like a panic attack or a fear attack. All right. So when we have a panic or fear attack, like Eileen's asking, so blood phobia faint within 5 seconds. Oh, then within 5 seconds, it's not something that is easy. Okay. So with blood phobia, if you faint so fast, then it's very difficult. So I'm talking about those people normally feel their panic anxiety attack, and then they get frozen, right? They get frozen, and then they're really really very scared. Now, if you have learned this and you're cognitive enough, aware enough, then maybe you want to. It's okay because you're feeling, you're shaking. You're shaking. You just shake more, right? You shake more, and then you look left, look right, and as if you're fearful and you're running away from your danger. Or if you are up to it, then it's like as if you're fighting the danger. So you want to calm your body down, calm your nervous system down. Okay, and when you're calm enough, then only we can do something like this. So something like this, we are trying to get back to love instead of keep on staying in a prolonged state of fear. Okay, whereby we try to feel the fear, and this actually especially works more for people who are more sensitive and who are very aware of their emotions and their body and they're feeling it. Calista is asking, how come we are moving the fear inwards towards the center chest? I thought love comes from a physical heart, like in LM. No, no. Okay, so when we do the pure light of goodness, so the pure light of goodness will shine and will have love and everything. So it's coming from the physical heart. Now the pure light of goodness, so this pure light of goodness, the pure light of goodness will separately power up the heart chakra. Alright, the pure light of goodness will power up the heart chakra. In fact, the pure light of goodness powers all the chakras. And our heart chakra, essentially, alright, the center of the heart chakra, actually, essentially is love. So this is how, you are returning to the pure state of your emotional heart. And all these fears, it comes from the center, but it's no longer pure. All right, so it's a little bit off, and fears tend to be on the left side. So if I'm treating as if I'm looking there and I'm feeling my chest, yeah. So this is left, this is right. Okay, so you're not moving the fear. You're trying to feel the fear, and from the fear, you want to feel the love which originated the fear. Do you get what I mean? So we don't want to stay stuck in the fear. Because a lot of people, when you're fearful, some of you can feel the fear and you can feel this trembling. How many of you have felt this trembling before? Right? When you're so fearful, you feel as if your heart is trembling, your physical heart is trembling, or some people can actually feel it's not your physical heart. Yeah? You can feel it's your emotional heart or like your center. So some of you will have felt that fear before. Alright, it's very clear. It's usually it's on the left side. Okay? So we want you to calm your nervous system down, your physical body down, with the shaking and the eye lateral movements. So once you are more calm, then you can try to do this. Right? You try to do this, feel the fear first, but from the fear, we move on to feel the love from which the fear comes from. Corey said, yes, left side, thought I was having a heart attack. Yeah, so those of you who are sensitive to your emotions and your body, you will feel it. Usually the fear is on the left side. Okay? So, but we want to evolve. So first of all, we need to tackle the body first, because we cannot ignore the physical body. The physical body has entered the fight or flight response state. So we need to do some shaking or some exercise, whatever, and then we will panting or whatever, the eyes lateral movements. And if it helps you, imagine you're facing your fears and you're fighting it off, fighting it off, and you want to do a few minutes of that so to use up all these resources in the body, then your nervous system calms down. All right, then you can, okay, all right, sit down, let me feel my fear. But after I feel my fear, I'm going to move on. I want to feel the love from which the fear comes from, and then focus on the love. Then only this way we can move from the fear to love, and realize that actually I'm so fearful because I actually love myself very much. Can I choose love instead of choosing fear? And if I choose love, because fear comes from love, right? What am I willing to do? Right? Out of love for myself, and not because of fear, that I can do to handle whatever situation that I'm facing. Okay, so it helps a lot. So once you can calm yourself down, you're acting out of self-love, things won't be that bad anymore. Things will certainly look hopeful, all right, and solution is possible. All right, I hope this has been able to help you all feel and experience something differently. So Mickey is asking, is trauma fear? So trauma is a very serious fear, that something that has happened in the past. Okay, so what we're trying to deal with, here is acute fear, which is something that happens in the moment. Trauma is something that is, anyone who deals with trauma will know that trauma is not something that is you can deal in one session. Okay, what this is designed to do is when you are having an acute, so trauma is something that's chronic, and trauma is a bit more complicated because it's something that happens in your mind and energetically. For those of you who know energy, trauma will also affect it is fear that is stored energetically and also in your body. All right, so you will need to deal with the storage of fears, and it's not an easy thing to deal with traumas, because anyone who try to deal with traumas will know that if you are not prepared, the person who has trauma can relieve the trauma or can go have a meltdown or something like that. Sharon is asking, means when meditate and want to feel the fear, it will be nervous feeling. What if pain means something blockage? Is it? How to differentiate? So yes, so I was saying, some people when they feel this fear, all right, when you feel this fear, now again, I'm specifically, what we're dealing with is especially an acute experience of fear. All right, it's an acute experience of fear. We are not dealing with trauma, yeah. So we're not dealing with trauma. Trauma will take. You will need to work with therapist, counselor, or even if you come to people like us, it needs to be very specialized so that the person who have trauma, PTSD or stuff like that don't have a meltdown or don't go crazy or whatever, because trauma is something very serious. Okay, so we're dealing with acute stuff. We're not dealing with trauma. Today, this exercise is not dealing with trauma. But yes, if you do have trauma and yours is a chronic condition, every now and then you have something which is acute. Acute means in the moment. You're feeling it in the moment. All right. If you're feeling it in the moment, what can you do? So you're feeling it in the moment. First of all, we need to recognize it's a fight or flight response. And we use this shaking or exercise and the eye lateral movement, all right, to get us out of the fight or flight response. Okay, will get us out of fight or flight response. Actually, the chi system is actually very good, which is why in the I believe in the previous episode I talked about using qigong, all right, especially our unity qigong, all right, can help people to calm down. So this is just an alternative method, or I would say this method is what the psychologists, the therapists do use. So we use these physical methods to deal with our physical biological response, calm our nervous system down. Then we are using an energy or emotional method. Okay, so in energy and emotional, we actually fear usually it turns up on our emotional heart center, the heart chakra, a little bit on the left side. So this left, this right. If we're feeling our chest, this is our heart. All right. So what we want to do is we want to use the knowledge that fear comes from love, and once you can locate your fear, you go inwards towards the center of your heart chakra, your emotional heart. All right. Normally, you can try to look for the love where it comes from, and it will go towards the center. Okay. Now, so for some of you, you feel fear, some of you feel pain, and it's not easy. The idea is to look for the love, and if you can find the love, your pain, your fear, your trembling will calm down. Or some of you will experience the heart chakra like fluttering, right? So Wei Ling is saying, strangely, the fear also appears in the solar plexus. Yes. So for a lot of people, that it also will go towards this. So there is a solar plexus chakra below. Alright, so solar plexus chakra is below. So it will also be on the left side. So then this is a matter of willpower. Alright, so it's a matter of willpower, and it's the same thing. Whatever it is, you need to go back to the center. Alright, so some people will feel it at the solar plexus. What I'm trying to share with you all, the method, is through the realization that fear comes from love. Alright, then you can actually do this. Okay, so once people feel the fear in the solar plexus, alright, it's also fear, but it's dealing with a different aspect of self, dealing with our confidence, our willpower, that kind of thing. So okay. Sharon again means something blockage, is it? So yeah, so feeling of this fear is all negative energies, right? So you will feel something negative. It will be not pleasant. You can feel pain, you can feel blockage, you can feel lumps, you can feel a little bit dark. So different people with different sensitivity will feel differently, but it's not a pleasant thing. Okay, Mickey is saying the exercise you guided earlier brought out my deeper trauma unexpectedly. So the idea is, okay, you want to feel the love. You have a realization of the fear. You want to go back to the love, and you can use light meditation. We shine pure light of goodness to strengthen. The pure light of goodness will strengthen our heart chakras light, all right? Will strengthen our love, and we want to sit with the love. All right, we will want to sit with the love. So if you know you have a fear, all right, and this is to be done when you're having an acute attack. All right, when you're having an acute attack, this is something that you want to do to convert the fear that you're feeling. So it's a negative thing. From the negative thing, you convert it to a positive thing, which is love, because your fear comes from love. Joseph is asking, what about fear when I am unsure of the source? So it doesn't matter whether you know the source or not, but if you can feel where the fear is coming from. Now, for those people who are not sensitive, you just, so I don't consider myself sensitive. So if I were to do this, all right, maybe I cannot even feel, but actually now I can. All right, but when I first started out, I cannot feel where does the feeling of fear come from. All right, so the idea is if you cannot feel where where your fear comes from, just tell yourself cognitively, all right, in your brain mind, can you understand that fear comes from love? Because it usually comes from self-love, because you want to protect, right? The fear is to warn you of danger. So when you're warning yourself of danger, it's because of self-love. Or you're fearing for another person. If you're fearing for another person, it's because you love the person. So we want to change and shift the focus of a mind from fear back to its origination, which is love, and focus on actually, yes, I love myself so much, or I love the other person so much, all right? And instead of focusing on the fear, go back to the love and feel the love and focus on the love, and then you can calm down and get out of your anxiety attack or your fear attack. All right? So this is what this exercise is for. It's not meant to deal with trauma, but for people, if you have trauma or you have chronic fear and you suddenly experience a fear attack, this is something that you can consider doing, all right? The physical side, and if you are feeling your fear, right, so you're having a panic attack, right, you calm yourself physically calm yourself down, calm your nervous system down, you can still feel a little bit of fear. You want to move from fear to love. And this knowledge that fear comes from love will be very useful. And you can always use our light meditation, shining pure light of goodness from your physical heart to support the love that is there in you. Believe in love and shift your focus back to love. And then everything is bearable, everything is doable, and everything is possible. Okay? But when we are in fear, all right, when we're in fear, it's like everything is not possible, and then we freeze, right? We talked about all this in the last episode. So we want to move out the fear state to the love state. And this is very possible when we realize and when we know fear comes from love. Okay? So, any last minute questions? If not, we've overshot a little bit. Thank you for staying with me. Sorry for the little fiasco, knocked my laptop down. And if you feel you've benefited, you can consider making a donation to support our online sessions. How to do so will be in the groups. If you can't afford it, it's also okay. And hope to see you all again. For those of you who are interested in our practices, tomorrow night will be a Unity Qigong. Alright, same time, 9 p.m. Malaysia time. So thank you everyone. Have a good day, good night, and goodbye.